Hello and welcome to channel Duello. I have another Gwent deck guide for you guys. The faction is monsters and the leader ability is Overwhelming Hunger. Overwhelming Hunger is really popular right now in the ladder. Why? Because it got some buffs. Like Artgate got a 1 provision buff and Harpies got better. As you see, this Seleno Harpy has right now bonded ability, so if you play 2 of them, the last one will produce an Harpy egg that will be consumed into 5 point another Harpy. So that's really a powerful play. That's why a lot of the decks, try to integrate these cards into their previous Overwhelming Hunger decks along with Frost mechanics. Well, I'm offering you something different today. Because you'll see the other decks a lot in the ladder, and this deck has surprise factor, which is the crones. The crones were being used in several decks in the past, especially with that Death Shadow ability, but Death Shadows is gone right now. Why Death Shadow was the best choice for crones? Because using the Death Shadows ability, you can play a 4th crone and consume that crone and play it again, so you could have use more damage, more boost, something like that. So the value was getting raised with Death Shadow. Why Overwhelming Hunger along with crones? Well, Brewis is kind of more useful. If we look at the crones here, actually let's talk about the crones first, if you're not familiar with them. To get a lot of value from crones, you need to play all of them in the same game, not the same round. So what happens is, when you play Brewis on deploy, you can consume a unit. And with Weavus, you can boost a unit. And with Wispus, you can damage a unit by 2. Well, the damage and the boost amount is increased by whenever you play another crone, and again that's not that doesn't have to be in the same round, in the same game. So that's really cool if you can draw all 3 in the same game. With Brewis, it's usually a disadvantage, consuming 2 or 3 units, but in this deck, if you play Druis as the 2nd or 3rd crone, it's not that bad because you will have consumed targets. And with this deck, it's a non-devotion deck, by the way. I'm not using, unfortunately, Oberon or Artgate. I'm using Oneiromancy and Heatwave. So I have more consistency and more control tools. And with Oneiromancy, and also I have some thinning tools in Wild Hunt Riders and Foglets, it's really possible to draw all the 3 crones. And as I said earlier, crones provide a lot of value if you draw all of them. That's why I went with this crone package instead of frost package. Other than that, what do we have in this deck? Let's see. I'm going to talk about the bronze cards first. Well, we have 2 Harpies, as I said. They're much better right now, and it also fits with the consume theme of this deck. I have 2 Wild Hunt Riders. They're also great thinning tools, but you can't get dominance as easy as similar monsters, because I don't have Yeager and Azrael combo and don't have a lot of high-powered units, so you need to be careful. Usually consumes will bring you that dominance value. I have 2 Larvas, as expected, since this is a monster deck and it's one of the best 5 provision bronze cards in this game. I have 2 Foglets. Again, it's really easy to consume them and get the other one from your deck and thin out your deck. And Drago Warrior is for extra consumes value. You may need another consume unit. I don't have provision left for Barghest, so that's why I'm using Drago Warrior as one of the 4 provision slots. And I have another Death Wish unit in Night Wraith. You can use Noon Wraith. There's not much difference, but I decided to go with Night Wraith here. Bruxa is another Thrive unit, so I have 4 Thrive units in this deck, Larvas and Bruxas. But you usually mulligan away one of the Bruxas, so you may not play all 4 of them in the same round or in the same game. So this is my bronze package. Let's examine the gold package. I have Oneiromancy. You can find your Hound if you haven't drawn it, and in several cases you can draw crucial cards like Miruna and Manticore. Those 2 plays could be backbreaking for your opponent because they are really, big tempo changes. For example, Manticore, if your opponent isn't, careful and decides to play a high-powered unit and no units next to it, you can just destroy it with your Manticore by consuming with your leader charge probably. And Miruna is great for stealing, units power less than 4. And if there is a unit with 4 power or less on the board, let's say along with 8 and 9 power unit, you are guaranteed to steal that unit. And don't forget that Miruna steals it, Manticore destroys it. So Miruna is better. And as you see, the provision cost is obviously higher than that. So those are really 2 great tools. So if you're missing one of those, you can draw them with your Oneiromancy. And sometimes it's better that Manticore stays in your deck because Manticore could be could turn into a brick against certain matchups. That's why it's better that he stays in your deck and you draw it with your Oneiromancy if you're missing it. So in case of emergency, you pull the trigger and get your Manticore from your deck. As I said, Heatwave is a great control tool. There are a lot of tall units right now, and players are not expecting you to play artifact cards. Everyone will assume that you're playing a devotion deck because 90% of overwhelming hunger decks are devotion decks. So getting a Heatwave on their Haunt or Passiflora or Masquerade Ball is really a great surprise moment because they will think that their scenario is safe. Other than that, we have our own Hound. As you see, there are a lot of Deathwish units, so it's really rare that you will struggle with finding Deathwish units for Hound. And with Hound, you need to play Deathwish units to trigger their remaining chapters. And you can produce a lot of points with the remaining chapters. Desert Banshee, Barghest, and Night Wraith are average cards, but they are, points potential. So if your Hound gets Heatwave, that's a problem for you because you don't have a lot of points potential other than Hound. Well, Detlef is great for short rounds. If you save the 2 leader charges for Detlef, you can produce a lot of points with him. But this deck isn't great in the long round, so it's better to bleed out your opponent and try to play a short round. Caldwell choice is for fun value. I was playing Aperian Phantom in the 7 PowerPoint 7 provision slot. Count Caldwell could be really good against certain matchups, especially if you're using red coin. So I think it's a decent card, but if there's a threat that your opponent can have a higher power unit, this guy is a traitor, so he will switch sides. So in order to prevent that, you need to use your leader charge on him as soon as possible. The turn he comes into play, you need to play that. But if you're certain about your opponent's deck and you're sure that he won't play a unit greater than him, so Count Caldwell can stay on the board. But it's usually not a good idea. It's not safe. We have Adestriga, obviously. If you have Dominus, it is a 9-point play, and if you're destroying an engine with that 4 damage, it's even better. So it's a great mid-range tool. But be careful with Dominus. If you don't have Dominus, Striga will only damage a unit by 2, which isn't that bad. Werkat is the deck's answer to Long Rose. It's our roll punish and Workat can win you games. And if you're missing your Workat, you can Oneiromancy him and play it as a surprise value. And a single Parasite is included in the deck as an additional control tool. So as you see, there are a lot of control tools. If you want more control, as I said earlier, you can replace Count Caldwell with Empyrean Phantom. That will be my recommendation. I won't recommend using the Beast because I don't have Yeager and Azrael combo, so Beast won't get as big as you expect. Anyway, those are my choices. I won a lot of games with this deck, but also lost several games. So it's really hard to go ahead and get a 10-win streak with this deck. It isn't that great, but it is a lot of fun to play. I would totally recommend it. I have 3 sample videos for you. Those were recorded earlier, and after recording those videos, I recorded my voice over them. So I'm kinda commenting on the videos and criticizing my plays, my opponent plays, and try to highlight the errors and good plays of it. I hope you like that kind of video. So this is both a deck guide and a game analysis thing. And those 3 games will try to show you the pros and cons of using this deck. One of them is a win, one of them is a loss, and one of them is a draw. I try to be fair with my selections. So I'm not trying to manipulate you into saying that this deck is great, you're gonna win a lot of games with it. I will try to display all aspects of the deck, and you will see the weaknesses of the deck in those videos. And I hope you like them. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button as well. As you see, I'm trying to upload English content once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on my workload, along with the Turkish videos. And for my Turkish viewers, this is the same video that I uploaded earlier yesterday. So you're not missing anything. So if you want to see the Turkish version, you should go ahead and check out my history. So that one is provided as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the videos. Bye for now. My first game is against Congregate, and Congregate's lists are pretty much standard nowadays. Everyone's playing those Firestorm Swarm type of decks, along with several crime options like Novigradian Justice and Tavern Brawl and several Intimidate units to support that. So we know what we're playing against, and it's not a devotion deck, so I know that my Hound is safe from a Heatwave. So depending on that, Raw Punish is really important in this matchup, and Workat is really a crucial card, and it is my only answer to those long rows filled with Firestorm units. And Fallen Knights are really threatening, so I need to save my Heatwave for that, at least for one of that. So based on that, I shouldn't be using Workat in my first round, and I'm playing with blue coin, so I'm starting first, and it's a disadvantage automatically. Somehow I need to win the first round with making a couple of big moves, trying to force my opponent out of first round. Anyhow, let's check out my mulligan choices here. I have 2 Bruxas, so I don't need both of them, so I'm sending one of that. It's good to have Oneiromancy here, and I'll send a Night Wraith, and here we have the Count. And Count is really not a great card choice if I'm playing blue coin, so that's why I decided to send them back. I start with regular Dragon Larvas, and my opponent plays Halfling Safecracker, and it's a huge one. As you see, it's 9 power. This means that my opponent has 6 crime cards in his hand, and it is the only card on the board. And I think it's a really good time to use Manticore here. I don't have Manticore in my hand, but I have Oneiromancy to pull the Manticore from my deck. And I think it's a great choice right now because in the following rounds, Manticore will be pretty much useless because of all the small fire zone units. So I think it was somewhat a mistake on my opponent's side, or he just decided to take the risk. As you see, he has another one, so maybe he didn't have a solid starting card. Well, I don't have a second Manticore, obviously, so I decided to go with Thrive route and played the Bruxa. Now I have 3 Thrive units on the board. And here comes Fallen Knight. Fallen Knight could become huge. I'm lucky that he didn't play it with that with Ulri. Well, I decided to dedicate my second. Let's say she is better than Manticore actually. Miruna seems like a good choice, and again Miruna will be pretty much useless in the next round. So using 2 leader charges could seem too much, but I think it's worth it. And I have the Fallen Knight before he gets out of control. My opponent starts to play his crime cards and destroys one of the Thrive units. I still have 2 larvos. I have a 30-8 lead here. What I can do is play Parasite, but other than Parasite I have no card that I want to use this round. Well, one of the, as you see, crones is pretty much useless here. I'd rather have the other crones before playing her. And I can't play Hound. Heatwave is too much to play on that 8-point unit. And again, that left is too much. I think it's not a bad idea to pass here. My opponent could score 23 points in 2 cards. It's impossible for him to score with 1 card, obviously, so he needs to go down to 4 cards and is forced to play a long round. Well, Swarm decks prefer long rounds anyway, but even with 2 cards, it's really difficult to score 23 points, so he has to use his leader charges and play a big card like this. Grand Inquisitor Helvete is usually a great card in long rounds. He had to use it, but he is at 17 points. Still needs to score 14 points to pass me. He has 3 charges, and he can play a card and use the remaining charges. Let's see what my opponent will do. 1 charge, 2 charge, and proceeds to use all of the charges and plays DS Irea. And finally manages to pass me and goes down to 4 cards. So he has to pass right now, and I need to find a dry pass card. It's great that he doesn't have any leader charges left. I use 2 leader charges as well, but I really have a strong hand and he isn't playing Devotion, so he can't do anything about my Hound. Well, I sent Larva. I have a Night Wraith that could be used as a dry pass card. I checked my deck and I couldn't think any of my bad cards, so I decided to take a risk here. And you know what, the chance of drawing one of the goals is kinda low, so I took the risk and took another mulligan and paid out really well because I proceeded to draw one of the thinning cards. Played Wild Hunt Bruiser, and now my deck is 1 less bronze. Now I have a great hand right now. It would be even better if I draw one of the remaining golden cards in my deck. And here is one of them, and Foglet is not bad at all. I can consume Foglet and get the other one, so it will be a 8-point play. And as you see in my deck, there is only Striga and Bruce, and I can draw one of them with my Oneiromancy. So it's really risky to take another mulligan here. So I'm keeping my hand, and what will be my first move right now? Well, Foglet could be a good first move, or starting with Hound could be a good move. But I mean, if I start with Foglet, I still have enough Death Wish units to trigger Hound. So I think it's a safe move to play Foglet first. I may lose a point. You know, that Desert Banshee gets boosted whenever I play Death Wish units, obviously. But if I play Hound right away, I mean, the Desert Banshee will be destroyed by my opponent's one of cheap crime cards. So I decided to, you know, delay playing Hound a bit. Here's an interesting play from my opponent. He didn't have any coins in the bank and decided to play Vivaldi Bank, and he only gets to see the top 4 cards of his deck. And luckily, his first card is Jacques, Grandmaster. He plays it right away, and I'm getting my Parasite ready here to kill him, but my opponent smartly boosts Jacques by 1 point. He is really lucky at this point because he used all of his later charges, and he will be struggling with coins throughout the round. Anyhow, I can't use my Parasite right now, unfortunately, for me. I'm checking my deck to see what I can draw with my Oneiromancy. Well, I can't play Striga, my opponent has Dominus, but I can play Brewis. And since I'm playing Brewis, the other crones will benefit from that. They automatically got stronger. I consumed Foglet and still has Hound in hand and 2 crones to back her up. My opponent somehow managed to play Horse on Senior, and he had 3 coins. That's why I said he was lucky. That's the best scenario here. I mean, he used all his charges. He didn't have any coins left, but somehow I mean, generated 3 coins and then played Horse on Senior, and you know, were able to get cut up lackeys on his left and right side. And right now it's a really dangerous situation. I need to kill one of the lackeys because they're bonded, and with each crime they will hit an additional 1 damage. So I decided to play one of the crones, and if I saved her as the last crone, she would have hit 6 damage, but I need to destroy one of the lackeys immediately, so my choice was either playing Parasite or one of the crones. So it wouldn't matter much, but I decided to go with the damage crone. Maybe Parasite will be useful to destroy Fallen Knight, and here it is. But it really didn't matter. It mattered this way, actually. I mean, if I had played Parasite, then 6 damage wouldn't have been enough for one of the crones. So I need to play the boost crone first to get the 6 damage. So that's why I decided to destroy one of the lackeys immediately. And right now I'm free of Fallen Knight threat, and I need to find a better use for my Heat Wave. And that Heat Wave target will probably be Jacques. And here comes the Guardian Justice, and right now I have my opponent has another Intimidate engine, 2 Intimidate engines and 1 Lucky. Still, it's quite dangerous. Now my best option is to play Hound. I can't play Wercat. It's too early, and I'm waiting for smaller units. Besides, if I play Wercat, I can't trigger the 2nd chapter of Hound. Unfortunately, my opponent saved one of his bloody good funds, and that Desert Banshee got destroyed. It isn't the end of the world. I still have charges from Hound, and Barguest comes in and consumes my Detlef. That left was a proactive move here, so the others were not really that proactive, so it was the best choice in my opinion. And as you see, positioning is also important. My opponent has Tavern Brawl in his hand, and right now he doesn't have a great Tavern Brawl choice. Maybe the crones can, you know, hit themselves, but that won't be a big Tavern Brawl for him. And he can't play Tavern Brawl and that left either. As you see, Congregation would have been normally played on his melee row, but since he's afraid of Werkat, or he doesn't have enough room for both of the rows, so he had to use it on the range row anyway. So it looks like I will be using my Werkat on the range row, but there aren't enough units right now. I need to wait a bit more. I'm consuming the final charge of that left. I still have one leader charge left, so that will be probably used on Werkat or count, depending on the situation. I went ahead and used the final crones and boosted the foglet by 4, and I got the Unholy Trinity here. You don't see this very often. I'm lucky that my opponent didn't touch one of the crones, so I managed to, you know, form this nice image, three crones next to each other, and I wish they were premium. And right now they're standard versions, so they're not moving, unfortunately, not animated. And I thank my opponent for allowing me that. Here comes another Congregation, and I think it's a great time to use a Werkat right now. And the row doesn't have 9 units on it, but still I get to score a lot of points. On top of that, I can destroy the remaining Firestone units there, and that will reduce incredible amount of value for my opponents. He won't be able to use the artifact properly, and DS area will be less efficient right now. That was a great move, and my opponent decided to concede. As you see, he can't catch me up. I have 55 points on the board, and moreover, I have Heat Wave for Jug, and count will be probably untouchable, since I have a 14 power unit on board. He won't change sides, so everything seems perfect. So it was a pretty good victory for me. My opponent probably should have passed earlier in the first round. He used all of his leader chargers and Grand Inquisitor, and as a result he lost the game. And let's proceed to the next game. Now I'm matched against another Overwhelming Hunger. Well, this looks like a mirror match, but my opponent is probably playing Frost themed Overwhelming Hunger. Only a few players decide to go ahead and play with crones. So whenever you see an overwhelming opponent, you automatically expect a Frost themed Overwhelming Hunger deck, and you pretty much know what deck will include. So the deck lists are everywhere, so that's not a surprising deck list. Anyway, going back to my mulligan choices, I had to throw away one of the crones. She will be useless this round. Count Colwell is again useless, and it's more than useless. It's a bad choice in this matchup, because my opponent will have big units as well, and I'm again playing blue coin. And having to play blue coin against a mirror match Overwhelming Hunger is really bad. But the remaining hand seems okay. I have 2 Harpies, 1 Foglet. I'm only missing Wild Hunt Riders. Okay, let's start with the classic Andraga Larva move. I'm flipping the lamp so that my opponent can't play Wild Hunt Riders right away. I mean, he will probably find a way to play them anyway, but you know, delaying that is a good move in my opinion. And he could have Wild Hunt Warrior, and if Wild Hunt Warrior is played at that moment, he will destroy one of the larvae, so I'm kind of preventing that as well. Here comes the second set of larvas, which isn't ideal actually. But I'm, you know, setting up a huge thrive board here. Here comes Bruxa. Now 3 thrives against 4 thrives. I have 2 choices here. Either going slow with using Foglet and thriving 4 units, or going strong and using Maruna to steal one of the thriving units. I think I need to win the first round and get round control. That's why I decided to go ahead and play Maruna to get one of the thrive engines. Now it's 5 thrive engines to 2. I have crazy advantage here, and my opponent is taking it slow with Moonwraith. Looks like he will pass. I'm quickly using my Foglet. I want to consume it if possible, so it will be better for me if my opponent doesn't pass here. He keeps playing and plays another bronze unit, but that's a 7 power bronze unit, so he is pretty much still in the game. So in order to, you know, make a big lead and also thin out my deck, I play one of the Harpies and consumes Harpy consumes Foglet, and right now it's a big lead, 43 to 21. I want to play the second Harpy as well, but I guess my opponent will pass here. It is kinda unfortunate. I wish he played and dedicated another gold card, but he didn't make that mistake. So what do we do in this situation? Yeah, usually in mirror matchups it's not a good idea to push and bleed out your opponent, because you're playing the same decks. But the situation is not like that here. It isn't an exact mirror matchup. My long round isn't as good as my opponent's long round because he is playing Frost. That's why I thought that I had to push here. I have a Hound and units to trigger Hound. I have Oneiromancy to counter his Hound. I didn't take a mulligan here. Maybe I should have, and you know, tried to upgrade my hand. I thought it would be enough to bleed out some of my opponent's big cards with playing Hound and several cheap Death Wish units. And now let's see what will happen. I have 8 cards here, and I could play a cheap unit here and then see what my opponent plays. Like, you know, if he let's say dedicates a big card, a big gold card, I could pass. I have enough Death Wish units to trigger Hound, so that's why I played a lower unit with Night Wraith. I think this wasn't a great move, because I only put 5 points on the board. I thought, you know, I can consume it and get more points out of Night Wraith. Here comes Draga Larva. Now it's time to, you know, pass or go ahead with the bleed. So as I said earlier, I'm going with the bleed. Played Hound. My opponent has 2 options: either play his own Hound or try to destroy Desert Banshee. Now I have Oneiromancy to counter that Hound with Heatwave. I kinda rushed here. I should have consumed Night Wraith with Desert Banshee. It won't matter much in the end, but it's a minor mistake on my part. And Striga destroys my Banshee, and that's a really great tempo play for my opponent. Now I can play actually Manticore. If I play Manticore, one of the larvas will be destroyed. Or I could take it slow and play Harpy. I thought, you know, I can kill larvas anytime I want because there won't be a unit power lower than larvas, I thought, but I was wrong. Because he has gales. And maybe I should have played the Harpy on the melee row, you know, to avoid frost damage. But I mean, one of the frost damages is kinda useless because of the rats on the melee row. So again, that's not a huge loss on my part. And here comes a Winter Queen, so that confirms my opponent is playing the regular frost-themed devotion monster deck. Now there is a risk of destroying Gales, which is a bad choice, but I have 66% chance to destroy one of the larvas, so that's nice. I'm still ahead by 2 points, but there's frost on the board, so that's I'm not ahead normally. So here comes a Pierian Phantom. I have two choices here, either pass or play Parasite. Well, I'm behind anyway, so I decided to use Parasite, and I'm hoping that my opponent plays one of his stronger cards, preferably Oberon. Instead plays one of the weaker cards, Manticore. This is one of the worst Manticore targets. Just destroys one of the rats here, but as you see, it's 26 to 12. Well, I mean, it's obvious that I won't be able to pass my opponent at this time, but I mean, he is ahead by 14 points, and he could have, you know, really good cards in his hand, so I may, you know, take them out, and Werkat will be somewhat useless in a short round, which will be the next one. So, you know, I'm taking Werkat value, which is only 2 right now. I didn't use it on front row. And besides, I needed to trigger the second chapter of Hound. It's unfortunate that I don't have Dominus right now. If I had Dominus, Barghest could have consumed Nitrate here. Well, that wouldn't bring a lot of points. Well, my opponent uses Miruna. It's still a great card, especially you know, in the short round, and steals my Werkat. Now I have 2 leader charges and a death left here, which is really good. If I can, you know, draw a couple of golden cards next to him, I could win the round despite having a card less than my opponent. So I thought the bleed was, you know, somewhat useful. You know, my opponent played his aunt, played several of his, you know, gold cards. What I wasn't able to achieve was, you know, playing him his Oberon. Okay, we knew Oneiromancy was coming. I have Count Caldwell here, and I have 2 leader charges which will be used on that left. So I need another consume unit. And I have Wild Hunt Riders, and I could use Wild Hunt Riders dominance ability because of the, you know, Caldwell. What I can do is, you know, pick up a consume unit. It's really sad that I couldn't use any of the crones. That's why, you know, I didn't take Mulligan. I'm planning to use Oneiromancy to draw Brewis to get the final consume selection. My opponent consumes his own Foglet. This means that he probably doesn't have that left. I can't play Wild Hunt Riders because he has dominance with 6 power. So I had to go ahead and, you know, play that left. That left is safe from anything right now. And if he has, you know, reactive cards, that's even better. he has to use it on that left. Unfortunately, the beast comes. It's incredibly bad for me right now because, you know, not only I can kill, I won't be able to kill, you know, the beasts. I need to play a big unit, you know, to get benefit from dominance. And if I play a big unit, as you see, beast will get bigger. Right now, beast will stay at 6 power. So that's really a bad choice for me. At this point, it really wouldn't matter if I, you know, draw Brewis with Oniromancy or play Count Caldwell and consume him. Either way, it's bad because if I consume that left with Brewis, it's gonna be 10 power anyway.
Keep calm, Tiberius.
With this move, you know, I'm gonna let Beast grow bigger by 2 more points. If I had a smaller unit, things would have been different. I got frost damage on both rows. And it wouldn't have mattered if I played it on range row because, you know, that left getting the damage by frost is really irrelevant. Now I was able to play Wild Hunt Riders, but it's only 8 points. I mean, I wish I had a better card than Riders. And Oberon comes with huge points, 13-point Oberon, plus Beast got bigger thanks to my consumed Count Caldwell. And with my final card, I call out Brewis. Brewis consumes that left, and my final leader charge consumes that left, and as you see, it's 33-34. My opponent only needs a 2-point card, so so it's really easy for him. I don't think I played. I made a lot of mistakes in this round, in this game. The thing is, this deck is my opponent's deck has more high points potential than mine. The Crones Overwhelming Hunger deck has more control options and is let's say, is better against some decks compared to Frost. But Frost has more points potential and could be a better matchup against certain decks. So they are both good decks. If you like the Crones, you can use the deck I'm suggesting here. I mean, I think it's more fun than the other one. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, I need to... this is the end of the game, so I need to start it from the beginning. Sorry about that. Okay, my final game is against Mobilization. Mobilization is not really a great matchup for me. This type of deck uses Revenants and lots of control options. My opponent needs, let's say, units on the opponent's side, so that he needs to find those, you know, removal targets. And he has, I mean, my Maruna and Manticore is kind of useless against this deck, and you'll see the reason behind that. Anyway, getting back to mulligans. Obviously, my first mulligan choice is getting rid of the other Wild Hunt Rider. I got rid of Bruxa. It's an okay hand. This time I am playing red coin, which is good. And Count Caldwell could be useful in red coin. My opponent smartly plays Natalis into Amphibious Assault into Redanian Archer. And right now he's immune to Miruna and Manticore attacks. Well, I mean, Miruna can obviously steal Natalis, but what am I going to do with Natalis? He's useless. and that archer looks really threatening. I mean, even if I had Parasite, I can't kill him. I go ahead and play Night Wraith and start slow, and I think this was a mistake. I should have sent away Night Wraith because of the rats. Those rats are food for revenants. And here comes the first revenant with forbidden magic spells. The archer kills one of the rats. I would have actually saved that charge. You want a lot of 1-point units on the board. I went ahead and consumed one of the rats and played the first RP. I wish I had Foglet in this round. I don't have one, unfortunately. And right now my opponent starts lining up the revenants. This time he pings the harpy, and that ping is really useful because I won't have dominance in the next turn, and plays a card which will be a nightmare for me, which is what was his name? Ronwit. That card will turn into a 1-power unit in the last round, and I won't be able to use my Miruna or Manticore because of that. I'm playing the second Harpy, and as you see, the Harpy egg comes. Now I can consume that Harpy egg with my brews. So it's not really that bad, actually, right now. I still have the chance to get the first round. I have Coldwell, Brewis, and hopefully play Wild Hunt Riders after consuming the egg. Because Brewis will have more power than his units. That's what I'm planning. My opponent is really taking his time, but his deck isn't an easy deck to play with, so he's right about thinking. Uses one of the pings. Now I have dominance here. Here comes Silly. Silede, whatever, I can't pronounce. Reduces one of the harpies to 2 power, planning to kill it. Right now I'm playing Brewis, but maybe I should have played the Riders because I have dominance here. But I thought I would be safe consuming the Harpy egg. I will have 8 power, but as you see there is that tactical advantage here. He can get dominance back. So I should have played Riders instead of Brewis. I was really quick to pull the trigger here. I wanted to make a lot of points at this time. Okay, here comes another Revenant. Let's move a bit. This move is really important. Not only he protects that Royal Guard, he also got dominance. Now he has 9 power, which really sucks. I can't use my riders here. And I used 4 cards in this round and still was not able to use riders despite my playing is using low power units. It really sucks. Right now I can pass or keep playing. Playing another crone is an option, but that crone is a damage crone. If that was a boost crone, I could have used. I can use Workhead on the front row, but I think it's not worth it. I decided to use one of the leader charges on Count Caldwell and get dominance. And then I'm planning to use the riders, hopefully. My opponent has 2 damage here, 1 charge damage from Archer and 1 from Revenant, so 4 points total. He can't produce a Revenant, but instead my opponent decides to go and play Philippa, and pretty lucky with Philippa hits there. Then my Coldwell is destroyed, and I can't play Wild Hunt Riders, and he has a big lead. So I think it was worth using Philippa there. That was a good move on my opponent's part. And I couldn't use Wild Hunt Rider in the first round at all. But my opponent will drive pass here. And I need to find a card to play. Well, that card could be Wild Hunt Riders, obviously. I can, play Foglet and consume, but it's not worth using a leader charge at this time. I decided to, that's why I changed Foglet, but got another bad card. Right now I'm trying to increase the number of gold cards on my hand, but it's not happening. I have 2 options here. It's a toss-up actually. If I play Bruxa, that's pretty much a useless card in the final round. I can get rid of it. Well, Wild Hunt Riders is another good option. I can thin out my deck, get rid of another bronze card, and then I can send away Bruxa and my mulligan. That's why I use that route. Now I can send Bruxa and hopefully draw more gold cards. Larva isn't great, Manticore is abysmal, and Foglet is okay, I guess, compared to the other 2. Well, what can I do here? I have 4 bad cards to send and only 2 mulligan choices. Well, my worst choice was Bruxa in my opinion, and Bruxa brought me another Foglet, which is really unfortunate. And that's why I'm forced to use my last mulligan choice on Foglet. So I can't have 2 of them, obviously. And another crone here. I wish I had Brewers, and I don't have, as you see, Oneiromancy, Heatwave. Actually, a lot of good cards are missing. And some of the cards are really bricks here. You'll see why. I start with Larvas. Here comes Amphibious Assault into the second Redanian Archer. That is a great move. Why? Because of that Ronvet cards. I can't use Manticore. I mean, if he didn't play Ronvet in first round, I mean, that wouldn't have been possible. But for some reason my opponent decides to use leader charge on one of the archers. I thought it was a bit too much. He doesn't have leader charge left, and he could have used one of the leader charges on a possible Revenant in the following turns. But my opponent decided to, be aggressive and try to destroy everything I play here. And as you see, he used 2 pings on one of the larvas. That larva is a gunner in the next turn. I can't do anything to protect him. Well, Manticore is useless. If I use Manticore, Manticore will destroy Ronvet, and Destroy will come back the following turn. I can go with Hound or Foglet. I have 5 Death Wish units for Hound, so I'm choosing Foglet. If he kills Foglet, he will save me from using one of my leader charges, but he will kill one of the larvas, obviously. Ballista is a great card at this situation. Normally it is not a great card at all, but as you see, the Ballista's remaining 2 damage is sitting there, and Redanian Archer has 2 more charges, so the second larva will be a gunner as well. What can I do here? Actually, using Parasite on one of the archers is an option. I mean, I won't be able to kill, but at least, you know, I can remove the armor there. But I thought, you know, I should save it for, let's say, a more important card. So I went ahead and played Haunt. Haunt is getting heat waved. I mean, it's not surprising. This deck has a lot of removal, and it's not a devotion deck, so he was able to draw his Haunt, although he has 7 cards remaining in the deck and doesn't have any tutorial to draw it. Well, it is what it is. Right now, Desert Banshee can consume. I have only 2 charges. I have, you know, 0 consume options. So I think it's best to, you know, use the remaining charges on that left. It is possible to use, you know, work at this moment and use the Desert Banshee on work at. I mean, that won't bring me any points. However, those 2 barriers will be removed. So that could have been a choice. But I don't know. I mean, would it have changed the outcome? We'll see. Instead, I consumed Foglet and brought another 4-point on board. And also, I mean, if he is able to produce Revenants, we will see a long line of Revenants. That's why I decided to say work at. So I don't know his hand at this moment. I played one of the crones, the boost crone. I mean, I must not give him low point units on the board. I mean, he could have one of those forbidden magics. Right now it's not going that bad, even though everything is going against me. Still, I am 5 points ahead of my opponent. Let's skip ahead a bit. Okay, here comes Revenant without any protection. That's why I said it was a kinda aggressive move. You know, he should have used his leader on Revenant. Right now he only has 1 Revenant. I can kill Revenant easily, either with Parasite or with the damage clone. I decided to use Parasite. I don't want to put more units on the board. So Parasite was useful for this purpose. And by the way, that crone will produce 6 damage as well, so I can use it on a, you know, more valuable unit. Archers keep hitting me. Again, work at is an option here, but I can't right now use the leader charge on work at. I'm thinking about it, but what I mean, the only good it will do is, you know, reduce the power of royal guards to 3. So that's pretty much about it. That run width and the back row is horrible. I'm just using the Maruna and not using any charges, obviously. I mean, I'm throwing these units on the board so that, you know, if my opponent kills it, I don't have to use a leader charge. So my next move will probably be a Manticore. So they are pretty much bricks at this moment, 4-point and 5-point plays with a lot of provisions on them. My opponent starts hitting Banshee here. He has toll removals as well. You know, Curse of Corruption, Rock Slide. He could have taken it out when it was 7 power actually. As you see, his strategy keeps changing while playing this round. Here comes Boiling Oil, and 1 damage wasted there. Why did he use one of the pinks if he was going to use, you know, Boiling Oil? Here comes another useless card, Manticore, and Vincent Mace is coming, and for some reason, decides to destroy Manticore. He could have used it on, Crone. I don't know why he did that. Okay, I understand that, Ronwit will come back, but he could come back on Malero, which will be better for me. I mean, instead of points potential. I can use Wispus for 6 points, or use Urcat, or use Detlef. I think I should have used Detlef here. But I mean, playing those two units after Urcat will trigger Thrive actually. So it wasn't an obvious error. And my opponent is doing something interesting here. As you see, he is lining up Falibor with Redanian archer shots, and the targets are Death Wish units. Isn't it odd? Especially, those leader charges won't be used, and destroys those two Death Wish units. I mean, at least he could have, killed the Crone there with the pinks. That's really an interesting move. And as you see, Ronwit was spawned on the Malero and got destroyed again due to Urcat's Death Wish ability. So it wasn't that terrible for me, and also stole one of the 1 power units. Now I'm behind 14 points, but I have 2 solid plays left in hand, so all is not lost. I went ahead and selected the more point option and hit Falibor. I could have hit one of the archers, not one of the archers, but the one on the left. But I think it's the same point. And now he uses Rock Slice, another 3 point wasted there. Now it's that left time. Final 2 charges and 19 points. All of a sudden I'm ahead by 9 points. He has two remaining charges. He needs to score 8 points to pass me. What does he have? Curse of Corruption. Curse of Corruption destroys the 7 power unit, and that ties the game. Well, it's a tie, but I think, considering the circumstances, it's a kind of win for me, because, that looked horrible all the way. It looked like a loss. But somehow, I mean, my opponent's, let's say, pink choices and, selection of damage cards were not really that optimal or efficient. He wasted a lot of points on those big removal cards, in my opinion. I could have made different choices, but hey, I mean, I don't know the hand of my opponent, so I think it was okay for me to get a draw against this bad matchup. But I did some mistakes on the first round, actually. Anyway, what's done is done. I hope you like this video. I mean, I tried to display the advantages and disadvantages, pros and cons of using this deck. If you like this deck, the link is included in the description. Also, I'll appreciate if you upload the deck in playgwent.com. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in another Duello video in the near future. Bye bye.